I couldn't imagine who would pay attention to the notices in a seedy dive like the Parrot, but I guess they were of interest to someone. Wanted, bed maker and laundryman for Unseen University. $2 for each day survived. Contact Mrs. Foames at the new hall. The cyan stench was coming from a bottle of perfume. There was a hint of an apple-colored scent in the air. My usual, please. Luton, you're... What? Is my tie not done up straight? Is there an unfortunate mark on my nose? I heard you were dead. Perhaps I am. Get me a stiff drink. How about a whiskey? Don't you want something with it? All right, put another whiskey in there. Drinking like that'll kill you. I'm dead already. You didn't come back here to drink, did you? How's business been? Poor. Sapphire's missed several days. I don't think she's coming back. You could be right. So this is the small talk to win me over before you start grilling me again, is it? You may be onto something there. I hope you know you're not making any friends here. I hear a prominent merchant has been killed. Heard anything about it? All I heard was that someone in the Merchants Guild got killed. That's all I know. See you around? Yeah, whatever. I doubled back on myself, trying to get a good look at the dwarf who was following me. It was Al-Khali. I slipped away into the streets before he realized I'd spotted him. Unseen University was positioned along a large stretch in the River Ankh, and its campus was convoluted enough that it was hard to tell where the university ended and the city began. It would be wrong to say that the people of the city respected the wizards of the university, and it would be wrong to say that they hated them. In fact, all you could really say was that both the citizens and the wizards were glad of the wall that stopped them from having to socialize on a daily basis. Mrs. Foames?
Yes, I am she. What do you want?
May I come in?
No, you may not.
I've come about the job.
Is that a fact? Very well, you may enter, but wipe your feet. I won't have the help messing up the carpets. Now, you've come for the job, Mr...
Luton. And yes, I am interested in the job.
Well, as the head chambermaid, the decisions about hiring staff falls on my shoulders. Do you have any experience?
No, but I'm a fast learner.
Well, the pay is $2 a day. There are no perks. If you want it, it's yours.
Can you tell me about Unseen University?
It's not the business of help to discuss their employers.
Is it dangerous working here? Only I heard that one of the wizards was murdered.
Don't let that bother you, Mr. Luton. The affairs of the staff are not our concern.
You don't think I'm in any danger?
Goodness, no. The odd death is just the natural course of campus politics, I'm afraid. It's a shocking turn of affairs, but we mustn't question it. Dead men's pointy boots, and all that. Now, do you want the job or not?
Dead men's pointy boots?
Yes. No questions asked as to the manner of their emptying, if you know what I mean.
I see. I'll take the job. When do I start?
You can start now by making the beds. The dorm is through that door. I advise you to leave before the students get back.
Why?
Boys will be boys, Mr. Luton, and apprentice wizards are the worst kind of boys imaginable.
I guess I'd better get to work.
Very good.
The octagon board appeared blank to my eyes, but I had a feeling there was something written on it I couldn't see. A few sticks of chalk, a type of chalk made from octagon carbonate, were resting on the top of the board. The dorm was full of the jangling scents of the students, but the most surprising thing was the octagon board. As a wolf, I smelt the words on the board. The chalk marks showed up as sparkling traces against the odorless board. It seemed to be a list of subjects the young apprentices were studying. Occult perils of lace-making, basic myth and monsters, principles of thaumic imponderability, and temples of the Great Nev. Under the list of subjects were the words, "You must read a chapter on each before the next lecture." The only interesting thing I could find in the unlocker was some books. I guess the rumors about the students weren't true. They did do some studying. What have we got? Occult Primer, Monster Fun Grimoire, Fulamyth, The Theory of Thaumic Imponderability, Lost Temples of the Great Nev. There was a book on the temples of Great Nev, but not of Alkali. A shame, really. That could be really useful. For a brief moment, I considered actually making the beds. Fortunately, good sense prevailed. I altered one of the subjects on the board, switching the Great Nev for Alkali. Now all I had to do was see if anyone took the bait.
What are you doing here?
The name's Luton. I'm working for Mrs. Foames.
You're the new bed maker, eh? Well, you can't come any further than this, Luton. Wizards only in the library, you.
Wizards only?
Well, wizards, apprentices and orangutans.
Are you a porter?
No, I'm a Bledlow. And there's a difference, all right?
What's a Bledlow?
We look after the students.
Look after them?
Just like the watch looks after the city.
You throw your weight around and beat them senseless when they do something wrong?
That's about the size of it, yeah. You don't mess with the lobsters.
Lobsters?
Just a nickname we've picked up over the years.
Why?
If you see us get our hands on a student, you'll understand.
You make it sound like you're hunting them down.
Of course. All students are guilty of everything.
Where are all the students?
They're off playing Unseen University Challenge against the students from the Assassin's Guild.
What does that involve?
I don't know. Given the way most sports are conducted round here, it probably involves a very careful inspection of half the pubs in Ankh-Morpork.
What makes you say that?
Heard of the City and Guilds?
No.
When the guilds started setting up their own colleges, there was a lot of rivalry between the various students.
Rivalry?
Well, the university students used to be ambushed by gangs from the guilds, really.
Used to be?
Well, given the faculty's relaxed attitude to sudden death, most of the staff preferred dead students on account of them being easier to teach. But I gather the guilds decided that enough was enough because all the bodies around the place made it very hard to open doors.
So what did they do?
They founded the City and Guilds match. See, the idea was to carry a football right from the outskirts of the Shades to the Tower of Art, goals being scored by kicking the ball through the door of certain landmarks.
What sort of landmarks?
The sort with names like the Mended Drum and the Bunch of Grapes. The scoring team was bought drinks by the other teams, you see. And after a few years, the Arch-Chancellor ruled that only one goal could be scored in each pub since the match had, for 3 years running, gone on for a month.
What's this got to do with Unseen University Challenge?
Well, the university tends to leave the City and Guilds match to the guilds. They prefer a more cerebral challenge.
Such as going straight to the pub, not passing go, and not bothering to come back?
That'd be my guess, yes.
So they're not coming back?
Oh, they'll be back. They need to come to the library to get their course books.
I hear the reader of esoteric occultism was murdered.
Yep. Old Mathan was so full of poison, even the worms wouldn't touch him.
He was poisoned?
That's right. Right here in the Widdershins wing of the university.
You don't sound concerned.
I just keep an eye on the students. The wizards can do what they like to each other.
Well, I'd better leave you to it. The empty barrels were surrounded by a cloying red mist, and it had the shrill pitch of red wine, if I wasn't mistaken. One of the empty barrels had a faint magenta trace to it. The scent was too weak for me. Definitely the same scent as my killer, which meant whoever it was made it into the palace concealed in a wine barrel. Why did that bring to mind the phrase, "You wait, time passes," and Thorin sits down and starts singing about gold? As far as I could tell, the barrels were just like the ones in the wine cellar of the Café Ankh, although these ones were empty. The palace was due to buy some more wine. As far as I could tell, they would be collecting it sometime soon. I had a long wait, but it paid off. I guess they didn't have an open door policy. The double doors were more stately than the others leading from the hall. I reckoned that it led to the oblong office, the patrician's personal sanctum. The only noticeable scent in the hallway was someone's trail which led to the double doors. As a wolf, my hearing was dramatically improved. I could recognize one of the voices as Commander Vimes. The other voice had the calculating tones of Lord Vetinari, the patrician of Ankh-Morpork.
Are you any closer to a solution for our mutual problem?
No, sir. I've been occupied.
Indeed. And what could occupy you?
There was a string of copycat killings. I've been trying to solve them.
And have you?
No. My lead suspect was killed.
That is very unfortunate.
It certainly was for Luton.
So there has been no progress in determining who killed Cypher.
Not as such.
I had been given to understand that this was precisely the situation you were well equipped to handle.
I will solve this case, sir. You can count on me.
Do you recall what I said the city reminds me of?
You said it reminds you of a clock, sir.
Indeed. Big wheels and little wheels, all turning at different speeds to keep the machine working. That, after all, is the most important thing. The machine keeps going.
You've told me this before.
Do you know why it keeps working?
Because you want it to keep working?
I'm flattered that you think I have such importance. But no, it keeps running because the people believe it will keep running. Faith is a powerful force.
There is a point to this, sir?
I always have a point. Sometimes it's sharper than others.
I'm sorry. Continue.
One of my clerks has been found face down in a vat of wine, and that makes it appear as if the administration has lost control.
And the administration is me, right?
We are all the administration. You do the work, and I take both the credit and the blame. Provided I do not take the blame, I am content. I trust I make myself clear.
Perfectly.
Suddenly, I could smell blood. It filled up my senses like a night in a forest. Except a night in a forest didn't make me want to tear someone's throat out. I didn't know whether the guard had cut himself or if I was just developing a healthy bloodlust, like any young werewolf. But I couldn't control myself. The next thing I knew, I was in my office. I had no idea how I got there, how I got my coat out of the palace, or where I'd got a traffic cone from. It had been that sort of night. I was sitting at my desk, thinking over the case, when there was a knock at the door.
I understand you've been a busy boy, Luton.
It's a busy life when you're a private investigator. Plus you get to see interesting foreign places and learn a trade.
There was a commotion at the palace last night. Perhaps you know about it?
What goes on at the palace has nothing to do with me.
Indeed it is not. And if for some reason you did take an interest in the palace, I'm sure you would not be so foolish as to be caught breaking into the palace.
Of course not. Think I'm suicidal?
Strange you should say that. I heard you'd been killed.
I expect you hear a lot of things that aren't true. I bet someone has to explain them to you using very small words.
The thing is, the intruder at the palace appears to have been a werewolf.
There's a lot of that around this time of year, I understand. Must be the moon.
I paid my respects to your grave.
Oh, that was nice of you.
It was empty.
Oh, you know how it is. I get claustrophobic in narrow spaces.
So do werewolves, perhaps?
I wouldn't know about that.
Remember when I said how disappointed I was that I couldn't take you out for free?
Oh, that was a very touching sentiment.
Well, Lord Vetinari has generously offered to pay for the inhumation of last night's intruder.
He has a big heart.
It's a shame no one can find it.
Was there a point to your visit?
I was just passing through. Thought you might benefit from my advice.
How generous of you.
Well, I'll be on my way.
The door's behind you. I can explain how to use it if you want.
Watch your steps, Luton. I will be.